Hi, I'm Michelle Merhar at the Spring Fire Department, Station 71, a beautiful facility. And we want to bring the station a little closer to you. So we brought in two experts. We have Fire Chief Scott Seifert, and we've got a special guest today, the Harris County Emergency Services District 7 Board President, Bob Schmanski. Thank you guys for letting me come in today and talk about some important things going on in our community.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right, this question is for you, Chief Seifert. As a longtime Spring resident, it's something that affects me as well as all of my neighbors and everyone in the community. It's growing out here, and it's growing fast. It's a popular, beautiful place to live. How are you guys at the station ensuring everyone's safety and being able to grow with everyone?
Well, you're exactly right. The growth that's in our area is unbelievable. And over the last decade, we've been preparing for the growth, and it is just phenomenal to watch. And I can tell you that we're very proud of who we are and what we do, and we're really looking forward to continuing to serve the community the way that we are. Today is a milestone for the Spring Fire Department. Today, all 9 fire stations are staffed 24/7, and that is huge. I started in this organization in 1990, and to see it evolve the way it has, we never would have expected to have all the fire stations staffed, and here we are today, and every one of them staffed. It's a great thing.
It's amazing that as our community grows, you guys grow right along with us. And it's important to have you on board as well, right, President Schmanski, with the Emergency Services District. It's important to have your support. How are you guys supporting that effort?
It is, and we've got great support from our board. Chief Seifert and I are both longtime residents of the Spring area. And as we saw our area develop with the ExxonMobil complex, with Southwestern Energy, with all of the development that's going on in the Springwoods Village area, we knew that we had to be unified in how we were going to approach making sure that we could provide all the protection we needed for our citizens.
Chief Seifert, you mentioned that a goal for 2020 has already been met. What is that goal, and how have you guys met it?
Well, the original staffing plan was to have our final station staffed January 1st of 2020. We were able to meet that in the month of August, and that's 4 months ahead of schedule, and we are just thrilled that every station is now staffed 24/7.
So we've talked about having each station fully staffed. Will volunteers continue to be a part of the community?
Yes, volunteers are extremely important to us. They keep our costs low, and it's the tradition that we built our entire organization on. Prior to 1997, we were staffed by only volunteers. Then from 97 to 2013, we had part-time and volunteers. 2013 is the first time that we had full-time firefighters. We built the organization from 0 full-time firefighters in 2013 to 87 today. To go from 0 to 87 in 6 years was a monumental task. And we met that challenge, and we're really excited to tell everybody today that all 9 stations are staffed 24/7.
It's something you don't really think about as you go about your daily life. You just think, if I have an emergency, I know the fire station, they'll be there for me. But you don't realize what's going on behind the scenes, that it's volunteers, it's full-time, and there's a lot of moving, working parts where they all have to work together. I also want to hear about, with a lot of the new stations, why were so many needed in such a short time?
When we designed our stations back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even into the early 2000s, there was never a plan for full-time staffing. And so we had a need to build new fire stations that would be able to house those firefighters 24/7. And now all 9 of our fire stations are staffed, and there's full-time firefighters, part-time, and volunteers. The full-time firefighters are staffing 48 hours at a time, and the part-time and the volunteers staff 12-hour shifts.
Wow, it's incredible. Also wanted to talk to you guys about just building these structures. I mean, this just opened this year. What's it been like to build that many fire stations in such a short amount of time?
With the development and the growth that's going on here, in conjunction and in unity with the fire department, we realized that we had to have the infrastructure in place for our firefighters, because we had to make sure that they had places they could stay, places that could keep our equipment safe, and we could respond from. And as a result, in the last decade, we've built 6 fire stations. We've renovated 2. So that's been a very big undertaking that the board's worked with the fire department for.
6 stations were built in a decade time frame. That is not an easy feat, and it doesn't come without a big price tag. How have you guys been able to manage all that?
It comes with a big price tag, and it doesn't happen overnight. When we built the fire stations, like you'd buy a house because it's a house for our firefighters, we had to take out mortgages to do that. So we took out mortgages to finance the real estate in the buildings that we had to build.
So you guys have just been able to keep this all organized and stay on top of it in order to come up with these amazing facilities in such a short amount of time.
Michelle, the board for Harris County ESD 7 is made up of 5 commissioners. All 5 of us are elected. All 5 of us bring different skill sets to the board, which is what makes our board so dynamic. We've got 3 people that are in the insurance business, 1 person's a medical professional, and we've got a retired county official. The makeup of that board is what allows us to look at where we are now, look into the future, and work with the fire department so that we can plan for the future, because what we see today is just a sign of what's going to continue on. And we had to build the fire stations because with all of the growth going on in our area, we couldn't wait until the growth was in place, then build a fire station. We had to be able to respond along with the growth. And what we've done is now that all the fire stations are built, the board's looking at ways that we can aggressively pay those mortgages down and get them taken care of.
So we've talked about the new fire stations, how they're being paid for, and how you guys are managing that. We've talked about staffing all of the departments, all the stations. Where are we with fire trucks? They need to be replaced every so often, right?
So when we replace our fire trucks, at the board level, we pay cash for our fire trucks because it gives us the ability to maximize all the discounts that we can. The only thing that we have where we've incurred any kind of a debt is in our mortgages, which is very similar to the way some people operate their homes.
But one thing seems very obvious to me that is missing when it comes to emergency services. I don't see an ambulance here.
Yeah, there are no ambulances at the Spring Fire Department. We do provide first responder services for Cypress Creek EMS, who is the EMS service provider for our area. We don't receive any revenue for responding to EMS calls, but we do it because it's the right thing to do.
How many calls did the Spring Fire Department respond to in the last year?
In the last year, EMS calls about 3,300.
Excellent. Let's switch it up. I want to talk about Harvey. Spring was hit very hard. It was a tough blow for Spring. Has it made some of the other emergency services in this area kind of rethink how they do things?
Hurricane Harvey caused us to look at everything we've done, and we've tried to figure out what we can do better. We added additional boats, additional high water vehicles. We increased our staff shortly after. One of the things that we noticed is we have a lot of meetings and a lot of training sessions. We have to bring our firefighters from the far ends of our area all to the administration building most of the time. Now we don't have to do that. We've invested in technology which will allow us to keep our firefighters at their fire stations, and we'll still be able to conduct those meetings and training sessions. We've been very fortunate. We have a great working relationship with our ESD. We've been able to do a lot because of that relationship. But Hurricane Harvey was devastating for a lot of people. And for us, we had to adapt. And we're better prepared today for another one than we were for the last one. We will have everything we need moving forward if we have another Hurricane Harvey.
What about the health of the firefighters? What kind of programs, or how do you support them as well?
Our people are our most valuable asset. In fact, we invest $13 million a year in our people. If we're going to make that type of investment in our people, we want to make sure they're trained to the highest level, that they're as safe as they can be out in the field. We offer them a great salary, great benefits. They get a physical each year. In fact, in 2016, one of our firefighters was diagnosed with cancer. Luckily, we got it ahead of time. We do everything we can to keep our people here as long as we can. We want them to retire from here. So what we do is we make sure that cancer-causing carcinogens are minimized. We give our people 2 sets of fire gear, and at the end of a fire, they bag up the set that's contaminated, and then they take it back to the station to get it washed, and they have their second set of gear to put on for the next call. We also have a detoxification unit, which is kind of like a sauna that has exercise bikes in it, and for 20 minutes, each firefighter pedals that bike and sweats the toxins out of their body. We believe if we take care of our people well, they're going to take care of the community even better. We've been extremely fortunate. We have had hundreds and hundreds of applicants each time we do a job posting. And we've been able to hire some of the best people, not only in this region, but in the state, even in the country and around the world. They are the best of the best.
The department has come a long way. It's been incredible to watch this area grow, watch your stations grow. Talk to me about your history here. I mean, you guys have been with this community and with this station for a long time now.
I moved to Spring, Texas 40 years ago, and to watch what has happened over those 40 years has been incredible. I became part of the organization as a volunteer firefighter almost 30 years ago. When I first moved here, firefighters left their homes, left their businesses, and even left high school to go put out fires. That doesn't happen today. Volunteers were the core of our organization until 1997. But it became clear to us that this area was going to evolve, and the organization needed to as well. In 1997, we started hiring part-time firefighters. At first, they staffed one station during the day, then two, then four, and were still covered by volunteers at night. But after Hurricane Ike, we realized it's still evolving and we have to adapt to it. And so in 2013 is when we hired our first full-time firefighters. And today we have 87. The plan is, with the cooperation of ESD7, that in 2020 we'll add 9 more.
Michelle, I moved to this area in 1986, and my volunteer career has been well over 30 years. I've been on the board now for about 7 years. The board and the fire department got together. We sat down and we put together a long-range plan. We knew that ExxonMobil was here. We knew that Southwestern Energy was coming in. We knew that the growth in this area was going to be explosive. We had to have a plan in place so that we could get ahead of the growth curve, because if we got behind it, we would never catch up. It's been exciting to see what's going on. We've built a 21st century fire department that we've got different organizations in the area coming to us saying, how can you help us? How can you help us? It's great because we've got a fantastic fire department, we've got a great board, and we're excited to see where the future takes us.
Michelle, I'd like to expand on that. Social media has become very important to us, not only for us communicating to the community, but they communicate back to us as well. The fire service in general across the country is not very good at telling people about who they are. We have invested a lot in that area. We've sent out a community newsletter, we've upgraded our website, we're focused on social media, and we're still trying to do everything we can so that the public knows who we are and what we do. When people call 911, they call for one of 3 reasons usually. They call for police for crime, EMS for medical calls, and believe it or not, everything else gets sent to the fire department. Animals stuck in a grate, like what recently happened, they call the fire department. We do so much more than put out fires. We've got education programs for the public. We've got a lot of events that we do with different schools. We have a special needs day we started last year. We're looking forward to the 2nd year of doing that. And one of the reasons you're here today is we want the public to know what we do, who we are. A lot of people never ever experience us directly. And so we want to get the message out there so that the public knows who we are and what we do. We're blessed that we have an ESD board that provides us the funding we need to provide the service that our communities come to expect.
President Schmanski and Chief Seifert, thank you for inviting me here and making me feel so welcome inside this beautiful facility. I really appreciate all the information. It certainly brings a sense of calmness to me as a hometown girl, Spring resident for life, and it brings such a feeling of reassurance to know that you are moving with the times and you're continuing to stay on top of what's happening and what could happen. So thank you for having us here today. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome, Michelle.
Thank you.